Hi everyone, and welcome to this Mars Direct in Gemini reading. This is for all signs, so all house placements in the chart. So I'll be going through each of the houses to look at how this Mars Direct will be impacting all of us. So yes, it's time to launch. We've been in a retrograde, Mars retrograde in Gemini since at the end of October. So this has been probably quite a frustrating energy for a lot of us, particularly around our mental and mind clutter. You know, Mars being directed inwards feels a bit uncomfortable because it's a very yang energy. It likes, to do things. It likes to act on things. But a Mars retrograde is a very good time for us to figure out how we're going to do things differently in our lives. What different actions might we take to get different experiences in our lives or get different results in our lives? So there may have been a lot of stimulation of the mind and different ideas about how to go forward. And it's really that time to go forward now until the end of March, while Mars is direct in Gemini. So get your charts out, everyone, because we're going to go through each of the houses. And we all have every sign in our chart, even if we don't have any planets or placements in that particular area. So let's now move into an example here. So you can see in this example, this natal chart example, this is actually my chart. So you can see here that on the outer circle of the chart is the glyph or the symbol for each zodiac sign. And Gemini is the little twins here, the symbols that look like a couple of columns, really, with a head and a tail on it. And so you can see here that Gemini is mainly occupying the 12th house in my chart. And so on your charts as well, you'll have exactly the same symbol, and it will be in a certain part of your chart. Yours could be in your 12th house as well. But you can see here that Gemini starts the 12th house at 8 degrees. And so the 8 degrees is commencing in Gemini here in the 11th house. So a part of this transit for me, in fact, all of this transit for me will be occurring in the 12th house because the degrees were between 8 and 25. So wherever 8 degrees and 25 degrees of Gemini is in your chart is where this activation will take place. So this could be contained within one house, or it could be spread across 2 houses. So stay tuned. I'm going to be going through each of the houses, and let's start with the first house. So if you have Gemini in your first house, Mars is really activating this part of your identity, how you see yourself, how you operate in the world, your sense of self, your sense of identity. So with Mars activating this part of your chart, there's a very sort of courageous energy with Mars. So for Gemini in the first house, it's going to be a period where you're going to need to be brave enough to speak up for yourself, and be brave with your words. And going to be a very important period as well for you to use your mind to redefine yourself, or even redesign yourself, because the first house is about the self and the identity and even the physical appearance. So any changes that you're making need to come through the mind first, in order for you to see any results in that area. Very powerful Gemini in the first house in terms of the power of your mind to guide and direct your life and how you operate in the world. So that's Gemini in the first house. So Mars is activating this part of your life. So it's time to take action now. Any ideas that you've had about speaking up, about being better understood by people, or redefining how you see yourself, and how you portray yourself in the world, is a peak time for this until the end of March. Okay, so moving on now to Gemini in the second house. Now, this is the house of money and possessions and personal resources. It's also ruled by Venus, so it also has to do with our gifts and talents. And this is what was coming through very strongly in preparing this reading, was, you being able to, in this period between now and the end of March, exploit any talent for speaking, writing, listening, teaching, or coaching. And these talents are linked to how you see yourself, how you value yourself, your sense of self-worth, which is linked to how we attract money into our lives, and also relationships into our lives as well. But because it's the second house and it's about our resources. So if you've got Gemini in the second house, Mars is really giving you a lot of courage to maybe step into activating or developing these talents. And these talents are very much linked to how you can make money in the world. So if there's speaking or writing or communication, sharing knowledge in some way is part of what you are good at, then this is a really auspicious time for you to take that brave action into those areas and get those talents out, and start to capitalize on them and monetize them. Okay, so moving on now to Gemini in the third house. So this is the house of learning, communication, and making sense of our sort of immediate environment. It's also very much about how we conceptualize our worldview as well, how we think about the world. And so if you've got Gemini in the third house, Mars is going to be really energizing this part of your life, to want to maybe branch out into different areas of learning, understanding the world in different ways. So you may look at starting a new area of study, or, this could be a formal area of study, or just an area of self-study that you've been wanting to delve into for a while. It may give you the courage as well to share your ideas with others, perhaps through writing, publishing, or even social media. And with Gemini in the third house as well, there is a divine gift here of telepathy. And this is a very important skill in how you operate and understand the world. So telepathy is this kind of sense of knowing what other people are thinking, sensing what they may be going to say, and really tapping into that sort of mind-to-mind connection with other people. So your divine gifts of telepathy could very well be activated during this time. And this is something to not shy away from. It's something to really embrace, because it's definitely going to set you up for how you experience the world differently going forward. Okay, so if you've got Gemini in your fourth house, this is the house of foundation, family, and emotional security. It's that sense of belonging. So with Gemini here in the fourth house, there may be some energy going into looking deeper into your family tree, your heritage, and understanding your ancestral lineage, where you came from, to help you make sense of your place in the world, and how your upbringing and your ancestral lineage has contributed to who you are today. Mars activating this part of your chart as well, this part of your life, will also speak to being understood by your family, being understood as to who you are, and being able to speak up about your emotional needs as well. So there's a certain injection of courage here from Mars to help you to do that if you have felt repressed in any way. And there may be some healing going on here as well, to mend ties perhaps with a family member during this time, and sharing words that are very healing, that are going to potentially gain a greater understanding between family members, that may bring you closer together, or may give you comfort or closure about a family situation. Okay, so Gemini in the 5th house. The 5th house is our house of self-expression, creativity, fun and play, romance, and children. So there's so many aspects to this particular placement. But really, Gemini in this house is really calling for creative expression, particularly through communication, through the mind, through intellect. And so stand-up comedy I've got here, but that's no joke. Gemini is a very witty sign. It's very much connected to humor, and stand-up comedy, is a very creative expression for someone with Gemini in the 5th house. So Mars is going to give you the bravery and the confidence to be able to, maybe step into this a bit more, and to start this, activate this part of your life. If there is a creative part of you that's yearning to come out, and it has to do with humor or communication or knowledge sharing in any way, then this is a really, really auspicious time for you to commence that, to really get that out there, and do it for the pure enjoyment of it, not because it might make you money, but just doing it because you absolutely love to do it, and that it's an important part of you that needs to be expressed. There may even be a book here that's waiting to come out, that you need to perhaps to finalize or to get started, and Mars will give you that boost of energy to do that. Okay, so Mars in the 6th house now. The 6th house is our house of work and service, health and routines. So if there's a career, or there's some work that you're wanting to do that involves communication, knowledge sharing, or learning or teaching in some way, then Mars in this part of your life is really going to give you the courage to step into that, to really either change the work that you're doing, or perhaps change the role that you're in some way, so that you are able to step into more of a learning, teaching, knowledge sharing type of situation. It may be that you are just called upon to share your wisdom with others and to pass it on to others during this time, and this may be something that you really, really enjoy. Apart from that, any work that stimulates your mind and allows you to be of service to other people in that will be really, really satisfying for you as Gemini in the 6th house. A lot of teachers have Gemini in the 6th house, coaches, anything to do with sharing information, sharing concepts, helping people to understand, how bits of information fit together. The other part of the 6th house is around your health and routines as well. So Mars in this part of your chart between now and the end of March is really asking you to get very focused on adopting a daily routine around your mental health. So anything that takes you out of your mental chatter, that helps you to kind of simmer down, the huge mental activity of Gemini will be very beneficial to you. This could be anything to do with mindfulness, meditation, perhaps even writing, journaling, speaking, anything of those Gemini types of traits will be very useful to help support your mental health going forward. So this is going to be a really important period for you to get some of those daily routines into place around that as well. Okay, so Gemini in the 7th house. So this is the house of long-term relationships, marriages, spouses, and partnerships. So it's not group relationships, it's our key significant one-to-one relationships. Now, Gemini in the 7th house is calling for a partnership, relationships that really activate your intellect and spark your sense of humor. And so Mars is going to be calling you to direct your energy into those relationships that engage those parts of you that are really important. You know, engage you on that intellectual level, connect with your mind, you know, sharing ideas. You know, it's going to be a really important time for you to sort out the energy that you're putting into certain relationships, and those that do engage your mind and nurture your sense of humor will be those that you'll want to put energy into going forward. Listening is going to be your superpower during this period as well. It's certainly a very constructive way of putting Mars into action, or Mars in Gemini into action for you. So the superpower of listening actually opens up different dynamics in relationships. So again, you know, you have to be careful about where you're pouring your energy. But your superpower for listening is going to hold you in good stead for forever, for the longest time. And so whilst, you know, Gemini is often known for its you know, its communication and its speaking, you know, listening is a very important communication skill as well. And so, you know, sharing your thoughts and ideas with partners, with spouses, listening to what they have to say and trying to understand their perspective and where they're coming from is going to re-energize your one-to-one and very close and significant relationships. And you may have experienced during this time, you know, when Mars has been in retrograde, that there may have been some misunderstandings or arguments, and perhaps using words in a way that you're not really proud of. Perhaps, you know, words can be weapons for Gemini. So, you know, that may have come into it as well, you know, during the retrograde period. But now going forward with Mars, it's really time to summon those words, you know, that are very healing, and to really understand how you can connect with others, really listen to what they're saying and what their perspective is. And this is going to be a wonderful skill for you going forward for all of your close relationships and business partnerships. Okay, so Gemini in the 8th house. The 8th house is also a house of relationship, but it's about our relationship in the sense of how we share resources. But it's also to do with deep, intimate sexual relationships as well. And also the power of transformation, the power of words as a transformative tool. So with Mars activating this part of your chart, you're going to really be able to find the courage to speak up for yourself, to find and speak up for your truth, to give voice to your feelings and be brave enough to act on your feelings, because Gemini needs to process things through the mind. So it needs to understand and be clear before it's able to, you know, take that confident action. So Mars is giving that action energy to this particular part of your chart. So there is going to need to be some action taken around voicing your feelings, speaking your truth, and using your mind as a powerful tool for transformation. Any experiences that you're having in your life that you're not entirely satisfied with, that you want to get different results in, will need to come through that your mind, working on the mind and what thoughts you're feeding, understanding your feelings, you know, from that place of understanding through the mind, and using your mind to help to work with your feelings and to create and generate the feelings that you are wanting to have. So in this particular transit, Mars is actually activating a very powerful tool for transformation within you, in your mind. So anything to do with your thoughts and your words, how you speak to yourself, is going to be a highly transformative period. So figuring out how to talk to yourself more kindly, talk to yourself better, think better thoughts, you know, speak better words to yourself to help you to transform whatever limiting beliefs you might have, whatever fears you might have, is going to be a very powerful healing tool for you during this period. And the more that you do that action and do that work during this period between now and the end of March, the more it's going to set you up for being able to be more connected and intimate and having a sense of, you know, your own power in relationships as well. So this is a particularly significant transit for Gemini in the 8th house. Okay, so Gemini in the 9th house. So this is our house of beliefs and seeker meaning, deeper meaning in life, higher learning and faith as well. So with Gemini in this house, you know, this is very much a teacher sort of teacher, coach, very wise sort of signature here for people that are looking to have a higher understanding of the world, learning how about different belief systems, understanding how they all fit together. But Mars is energizing this part of your chart, and between now and the end of March, it's going to be a really important time for you to figure out what your faith is, you know, to figure out how you want to go forward in life, on the basis of your beliefs. And what you understand is, you know, this deeper sense of meaning in your life. Where does that come from? What is that based on? And, you know, you may travel during this period of time to places that stimulate your need to understand your place in the world and to test your beliefs and to test your faith. You may meet people that test your faith as well. You may have experiences that test your faith. And so the thing with this particular transit is to really focus on what this faith is and learn different ways of accessing your higher mind. You know, that's the part of you that has this inner knowing, or knows exactly the right thing to do, exactly the right thing to say, and being brave enough to take action from this place, even if it's different to how others think, or how others think you should behave or think you should act. Because this is very much a sense of kind of stepping out into your own brave, independent thoughts and way of operating in the world, to do with what you believe in and where you want to place your faith. So this is how Mars is activating this part of your life for those with Gemini in the 9th house. Now, Gemini in the 10th house, this is a house of achievements and public status, life path, and purpose. So Mars is really activating this part of your chart to try and get you into, aligning more with your path and purpose. And in Gemini, the path and purpose has to do with communication, with sharing knowledge, with learning and teaching, and how you conceptualize and understand the world. And so Mars is really giving you that injection of bravery to be able to step onto this path, because the 10th house is where we create our legacy in the world. It's how others see us. It's our contribution to the world. And so if there's something, related to teaching or learning or communication or sharing knowledge that you are wanting to get out into the world or create a legacy with or be known for, this is a very auspicious time to be able to step out onto that path and really take courageous action towards that. So this is a really strong activation for those with Gemini in the 10th house, because there's a certain sense of pulling from the soul, or there's a certain sense of destiny about this that is calling you, and Mars is really urging you and creating the conditions now for you to take that brave action along that path. Now, Gemini in the 11th house is all about exploring new networks with like-minded people, because the 11th house is about how we interact with groups and networks and communities. It's our soul tribe, but it's also how we it's also our house of inspiration as well, and house of aspiration and inspiration. So you may well find during this period that you are connecting with different groups of people, creating new networks, maybe looking at changing up how you do that, how you do things differently around, people that you connect with or groups of people that you're associated with. There may be a need for you to align more with people who really get you, who are like-minded, who you can share ideas about and be really understood, and with people who just get you. So this is a really positive time, to change things up in this area, if that's what you're wanting to do. If you're not really feeling like you're connecting with people who get you or understand you, or who accept your ideas and opinions and concepts of the world. So that's what Mars is energizing within you. I also want to say that during this time, that if there's an idea that you want to get out into the world, you will have the courage to take action. And if you do take action during this period, it will be, it may even go viral during this time. So between now and the end of March is a really fantastic time to take action on any ideas that you may have to either, contribute or progress humanity in some way. All right, so here's the last house, Gemini in the 12th house, the house of spirituality and the unseen and the divine, our connection to the divine. It's also a house of past lives as well. So you may have found during the retrograde period between October and now, that you may have had some deeper insights into your past lives, and they may have helped provide you with a deeper understanding of how you have got to be at this place in your life. But now with Mars going direct between now and the end of March, this is going to be a time for you to act on this, to really, in a way, come out of the spiritual closet and express more of your spiritual side, and be brave enough to kind of venture into the world with, with your spiritual tools and your spiritual self being, being able to lead the way, so to speak. So this is actually a beautiful placement, because Mars is an understanding of the right action to take. And Gemini in the 12th house gives you that kind of that knowing of what to do, you know, where to be guided. Because with Gemini in the 12th house, there's this gift of claircognizance, which is clear psychic knowing. And if you've had a knowing, you know, this sense of, you know, I need to do this, I've got to do this, I want to take this forward, then Mars is going to give you that energy to act on whatever clear psychic messages and knowings that you're getting. So this may manifest itself as, you know, moving into a place of sharing spiritual knowledge with others, or being a guide or a teacher for others as well, in terms of helping them to understand themselves from a deeper perspective, helping them to understand the world and how, you know, the spiritual or unseen realms operate, you know, giving them some insight into that. So that may be how this is expressed, but it could be in any way. The key really is to direct your actions into this place within you that knows exactly what you need to do, that knows within you the exact right action to take in a particular area of your life. So whatever that is, that's the gift of Mars activating this part of your chart. It's activating, you know, this spiritual part of you. And it's the spiritual part of us that helps us to really be able to navigate this human existence in a much more meaningful way, you know, in a way that helps us to be more, you know, compassionate, helps us to be more in the flow of life, and helps us to feel more connected to a higher, you know, a higher power, or, you know, helps us to be connected to other people. So certainly Mars activating this part of your chart may give you the courage, you know, to express your spirituality, or move into a role of teaching in spirituality, or helping others to understand, you know, how the unseen realms work, you know, how the universe works. So these are very much the gifts of Mars direct in the 12th house. Okay, so that is your reading for this Mars direct in Gemini. I hope you enjoyed it. Get your charts out, have a look to see where Gemini is, and I wish you all the very best over the next couple of months as we work with this Mars direct energy to really activate these parts of our lives and take brave, courageous action towards what we know we need to do, and to really launch, you know, into an area of our lives that perhaps we have kept dormant, or perhaps that we have kept quiet for too long. It's now time to really take action and go for it. Okay, everyone, I'll be back with more readings another time. For now, I bid you farewell. Thank you.